Mike. We got some shit to talk about.
Okay, what you got for me?
I got to piggyback a little bit off of our NFT talk from last week.
Good. I'm glad you have something else to bring up about that, because I thought that was a super funny topic. So what you got?
It's a real interesting topic. So this is something that's been talked about a lot recently, but hasn't actually seen any fruition until pretty much this last week. NFTs, to recap, are meant to be, a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork that can't be replicated because it's stored on the blockchain, which we know is impossible, right?
Right.
What is not impossible, and what people have been expecting to see at some point, is video game items stored on the blockchain and sold as NFTs.
Like skins or something like that?
Yeah. So for you boomers such as Mike, who might not know, this has been a particularly popular thing over the last few years. I'm going to reference the game CSGO. Okay. So CSGO stands for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. In CSGO, you can buy skins for your guns. Okay. That's pretty normal, pretty common thing to have happen. There are a ton of them. Every gun has multiple skins. They're constantly releasing new ones. What makes them a hot commodity and what has made them very expensive to the point that there are CSGO gun skins that sell for tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, but keep going.
The reason why is because, a lot like NFTs, there are certain randomization factors that make them more or less rare and therefore change their inherent value. So, for example, every skin has different grades of how complete the skin is, right? So you've got factory new skins where the skin is just applied to the gun. That's it. It's on the gun. It looks great. Yeah. But then there are different degradation tiers, and I honestly don't know the name of them, but the in essence, there are more worn down versions where the paint from the skin is more stripped off, or there's scratches and scuffs all over it. And so those are worth less than the ones that don't have any scratches or scuffs. And that's not something that the more you use the skin, the more scratches and scuff it develops. It's just when you get the skin out of a crate, there's a chance that it'll either be in perfect condition or it'll be all scratched up.
Okay.
And on top of that, there's another thing. It's called stat tracking. You can get a gun skin that stat tracks, and what that means is that there will be a little counter on the side of the gun that will keep track of how many kills you get with the gun with that skin in particular. So if you get a factory new skin that is stat tracked, that's a really rare gun skin. Okay, and so those are usually the ones that sell for a lot of money.
Okay.
And so people have been theorizing and suggesting that game developers potentially could see a lot of value in NFTs, because you could take this concept and just turn all of them into NFTs where they can be bought and sold using cryptos.
Right.
And the game developers could take a cut of those sales. And, there's been a lot of talk about it by those game developers. Ubisoft is a great example. Ubisoft is a dog shit company that makes not great games that sell for a lot of money. And they're extremely, extremely monetized. I mean, it is absurd how much they monetize these games. Let me give you an example. There is a game that they made a few years back called Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Assassin's Creed Odyssey had a really nifty feature in it. One of the biggest criticisms that was levied against this game was that it was extremely grindy. Okay, so to progress in the main story, you had to be at a certain level every time you tackled a certain quest, and if you weren't at that certain level, you had to do side quests so you could get more experience to get more levels.
Okay.
And because of that, the game was ridiculously long, took a lot of grinding, and was just kind of a slog to play through. And a lot of people, and I think this theory is so fucking sound. A lot of people think it was done intentionally, because something that you could buy as a separate cost from the $60 game you already bought was an XP booster that would increase the amount of experience you got from playing the game.
Ugh. That's lame.
It sucks. You would have to pay additional money to just play the game at the regular pace that was expected. And mind you, this is not the only thing that was monetized about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Again, this is a $60 game where they would, like any multiplayer game, sell you skins to use on your character, which never made sense to me in the first place. You know, the point of buying skins in a multiplayer game is so you could show off to all your friends that you have this skin. In a single player game, they're literally just choking you for money. There's no fucking reason to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's goofy.
And so there's a lot of problems with monetization like that, and it's a continuous problem. And I understand where developers come from. There's been a lot of talk recently about like the price of AAA video games. You know, AAA video games have cost $60 to buy the game pretty much since like the early 2000s, maybe even earlier. $60 has been the number, but obviously with inflation, $60 now is not what $60 was then. And video games are getting more and more expensive to produce as they are getting more and more complex. They take more people, they take more time, they take a larger volume of sales in order to make back what was cost to produce it. So when the new generation of consoles came out, PS5, Xbox One X, for the first time in decades, game developers started selling AAA games at $70.
Oof.
And it sucks, but it also makes sense.
Right.
And you know, that's why the monetization of games has gotten as bad as it has, because game developers need more money to produce games now than they ever did, and they aren't necessarily making it on that initial sale because, again, inflation. That is until you start to consider some other factors, such as that video games are larger than they've ever been. Video games sell way more than they ever have before. They make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
And just as an example, let's talk about Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard is a company that is in a lot of hot water right now because of because they are being sued by the state of California for serious sexual assault allegations and general toxic workplace shit.
Ooh, oof.
Which the CEO, Bobby Kotick, is very much, pretty much proven to have been involved in. So much so that the CEOs of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo have all been like, we would prefer if you step down, and he still hasn't. Something worth noting in the conversation of monetization is that Bobby Kotick last year in 2020 got Activision Blizzard laid off hundreds of employees, and Bobby Kotick got a $150 million bonus.
Oh, that's real shitty.
It's real shitty. And it's like that, like they're not the only ones. It's the same thing. Ubisoft, let's talk about Ubisoft again. Ubisoft has really been pushing for like this whole monetization of video games thing. Again, all of their single player games are ridiculously monetized. All of their executives take home huge paychecks, way larger than their base level employees. So, you know, can we really claim that additional monetization within video games is necessary when the higher ups are making as much money as they are? Would it not be easier to, you know, cut their pay because they're making more money that they could possibly know what to do with?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that's every company, but that's, you know, fairly common with the majority of companies where like CEOs, if it's a successful company, they're just making insane, stupid money. They are. And it's like, I get it. You're the head of the company. You should make a lot of money, but the disparity is insane across the board just in general. But I feel like it's especially bad in the video game market because people over the last few years have constantly been criticizing game developers for this monetization problem. And they are always trying to appeal to us as video gamers, trying to tell us that, you know, they need the money to make better games. And then they point to like games that flopped or didn't. They point to games that didn't come out the way that they should, games that came out like unfinished or whatever, as like examples of like, oh, if we had
more money to work on this, it could have come out better. But it's like, you have the money. It's there. You're just not putting it into the game. You can't fool us. We're not fools.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So all of that exposition is to say that the developers of a game called Stalker 2, Stalker, the original Stalker, was an RPG game based around Chernobyl. It was like a post-apocalyptic Chernobyl game. I'd never played it. It's gotten a lot of praise. It's supposed to be kind of a cult classic. Stalker 2 is a highly anticipated sequel that has been in development for many years. And over the past week, they announced that many of the items that were going to become available in the game would in fact be NFTs.
Oh, God. Ugh.
So they got in trouble for that.
NFTs just need to go away.
They really do. They really, really do not need to enter the realm of video games. There are so much problems with monetization already. The last thing we need is for NFTs to be involved.
Yeah.
And so, they had to walk back that decision. They essentially were like, well, I guess we're not doing that because everybody hates us now.
Yeah.
Company executives can suck my left nut.
Apparently most of them.
I can't imagine like getting to a point like what I think we talked about this in some way before, but when I think about a guy like Bezos who's like has more money than 4 people could possibly use in their entire lifetimes, right? Like way more money than could ever possibly be necessary, and yet at the same time Amazon is constantly being covered for how like abysmal their workplace culture is and how poorly they treat their employees. And it's like, well, we know the root of the problem. Just stop paying this guy so much.
Right. Yeah.
If people if the people supporting your company can't afford a living, then you don't deserve to have a company.
Yeah. Yeah. People need to just not be shitty people. That's a baseline for life, but yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. My philosophy has been the same since I worked at McDonald's. Really, like if you want someone to flip your burger at McDonald's, you better pay that person enough to live off of if they're working full time. That just makes sense to me. There's no part of me part of that doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's like an extremely basic living, they need to be able to make a living off of that. If someone's working full time, they deserve to make a living. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Full stop.
Right. Yeah. You shouldn't have to have like a full-time job and a part-time job just to survive.
Yeah. It's absurd.
Yeah. That really sucks. Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I was thinking about today. What about you? What have you been up to?
Been rolling with watching the Christmas movies every night.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I think this is like my 10th night in a row. So I've knocked out quite a few of them so far.
Now I do not have an opinion on this because I have never seen it, but do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I know this is like a hotly debated topic. I would say no. I don't think it's a Christmas movie. I think it's just a movie that happens to be set at Christmas.
That's what I think of it. Like again, I haven't seen it, so it's hard for me to comment on it. But like, if like the plot of your movie doesn't revolve around the fact that it's Christmas, then it isn't a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Die Hard's about the action, not about the Christmas.
Right. Yeah. I really don't think it's a Christmas movie. I mean, if you want to watch it at Christmas because that's the time of year it takes place, cool. But no, I don't think it's a Christmas movie.
All right.
And everyone will argue with that, but yeah, it's not.
They're stupid and they don't have a podcast on their own to defend themselves. So
exactly. Let me see.
Do you ever think about how we're just better than people because we have a podcast and they don't?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so tonight is night 10. I started with Christmas Vacation and White Christmas. I think I mentioned that on last week's episode.
You did.
And then Home Alone, the original Miracle on 34th Street, The Santa Claus, A Christmas Story, A Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and last night was Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I think tonight might be the other one with the Heat Miser, The Year Without Santa.
The Year Without a Santa Claus, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought, I was like, yeah, I might run out of Christmas movies here at some point, but I'm running out of days. Like, I'm thinking about all the other ones I need to watch. Like, I got to watch The Grinch, the cartoon version. There's the Frosty the Snowman cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we only got a couple days, so I might have to do multiple in a day at some point. Or just, I guess, maybe carry it after Christmas.
You'll have to start earlier next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have to say, I have not had a chance to watch your new video yet, but
you son of a, that's a Christmas video in its own right.
Right?
It came out around Christmas, even though it has nothing to do with Christmas.
That's a Christmas video in the same sense that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's goofy. No, I've again been working just a stupid insane amount, and I am like backlogged on all of the YouTube channels that I typically watch all of their videos like the day they come out. And I'm like at least like 3 or 4 behind on all of my channels. So it's not just you. I do want to watch it. But yeah, no, it's just been Christmas movies, and then I just go to bed because long days. But yeah, I will get around to that. How are you doing on views?
I mean, it's not exactly exploding, but it's done pretty well. It cleared 100 it cleared 100 views in the first day.
Oh, nice.
It's sitting about 350 right now. The response to it has been pretty good too.
Good.
I obviously had concerns about whether or not people would be, interested, because it's not a video about manga, which is the topic that I've covered that has netted me the most subscribers.
Right.
But there's a few people who have watched it and left comments along the lines of like, I don't really care what you're talking about, just keep talking. So that feels pretty good. Because obviously, the YouTube channels that die off really quickly are the ones that fail to find an audience outside of like some specific thing that they cover.
Right.
It's much harder to build an audience around your personality rather than building an audience around a specific kind of video. But the channels that are built around a personality, where you come for the person making the videos rather than the subjects they're covering, are the ones that last the longest. So that's the kind of channel that I want to build, not only because it's something that I would like to, last for a long time, but also because I don't want to get stuck covering only one topic all the time. Yeah,
that's not fun. You need to branch out. Speaking of different topics, when's your hentai discussion video gonna come out?
I'm gonna cover emergence. I'm gonna talk about the implications of that one.
Oh, okay. All right.
I know you have no idea what I'm talking about, but someone might.
Yeah. Someone might.
Emergence is a kind of memed hentai that is pretty famously known because of how fucked it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, I won't go into the subject matter because it's like demonetization topics, but
Okay. Yeah. Huh.
It's a really well known one, to the point that, like, you know what? Let me talk about something else. Real quick.
Okay.
So since we covered hentai last week, I'll mention as well. There's a website called NHentai that hosts a lot of hentai, and the way that their website links work, they're always every like hentai on there is referenced by a 6-digit number.
Okay.
That is in the link that leads to it, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of memes that people make where like they'll just include like a 6-digit number on top of like a random other meme, and like if you look up that 6-digit number, it'll always lead to a hentai. Like it's to the point where like if I see a 6-digit number in like a comment section or in a photo or in a meme, I kind of just assume it's an hentai link, and like we'll go and look it up. And so last week I was at work, and I found this like comedically small notepad in the office where I work, and I'm gonna send you the link to this tweet I made. And so I took a picture of the notepad, and I was look at this tiny notepad, and I wrote on the front pages, I wrote a bunch of those 6-digit numbers, and I don't think anybody noticed, and I was really upset about it because I thought it was really clever.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
It was like,
yeah, that is a really little notepad.
It's really tiny, and so I was like, this tweet will be kind of funny because the notepad is tiny. But if anybody notices what the numbers are, it'll be like funnier. And like I don't know, no one noticed, and I was sad about it. But the reason I bring that up is to say that emergence gets memed so much that like people have that 6-digit number that references emergence memorized.
Oh, God,
because they're like, yep, no, I know not to look this one up.
Mac, do you still have notepads where you continually write the number of which notepad it is that you carry around at work?
Yeah. So when I was working at World Market, I kept count of like how many notepads I had used while working there by writing the number on the front of the notepad. When I started working on my new job, I did the same thing. I started writing the number from 1 on there. Mm-hmm. And when I transferred to my new location, I started doing it again, but I reset because I was like, this is a new location. So, you know.
Right. Yeah. How many did you get up to at your last location?
I don't remember what the last number was. It was less than 20 though.
Okay. Do you remember what your World Market number was?
I don't. I know it was less than 20 as well though. My goal is to like my hope is that I can either like move on to my next great thing or like quit my job and then do YouTube full time before I hit 20 at my current place.
Yeah.
I think like if I can continue to avoid hitting 20, that's pretty good. Because it takes me like a few months to get through a notepad. Okay. I definitely like it. I go through a lot of them, but it takes me a few months.
Yeah. So I've got some notepads that I'll use here and there for work. They're like bigger notepads. Like not like full size like legal pads, but probably like 4 times the size of the ones that we had at World Market. But I never make it through them. Like I just end up losing it or just can't find it and have to start a new one. So I never actually have made it through one of them all the way.
I pretty much always make it to the last page. I usually like I have lost a couple here and there, but I usually make it to the end. It's actually to the point where like sometimes I'll be really forgetful about grabbing a new one because the store I work at is really fucking stupid. They keep supplies like locked up because they're that afraid of like people stealing fucking Sharpies. So like I have to ask for stuff.
Oh god!
Like every time I use up one of my Sharpies, I have to ask for one, and it's super annoying. So I just buy my own notepads because they're super cheap and it's easier.
Yeah.
But I can be forgetful about grabbing a new one when I go home. So sometimes like I'll run out of pages and I have to start writing on like the back of the cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've used them up to that extent where like there's just literally nowhere else that it can be written upon.
Yeah. I remember there were a couple times I'd have to do that at World Market. I'd run out of, I would actually run through a whole notepad, but that was easier because we had aprons and it was just always in your apron pocket. So
yeah,
they were a lot harder to lose. Now I can just, now I forget them all over the place, but or I'll just make notes in my phone instead of like physically writing them down. But
I gotcha. I use my phone's notes for like things that I might need to reference at some point, but don't actively need to remember. But you know, I use my work notepad obviously for work related stuff that I need to remember because I'll look at it at some point throughout the day. And then as you know, I don't know if people wouldn't know this, I carry one around on me regularly that I actually keep in like a little leather case because my memory's shit. So again, like if there's something that I know I need to remember within like a certain amount of time, I'll write it in there because I'll look at it at some point throughout the day.
Yeah.
I don't like go into my phone's notes enough to like be reminded of things that are in there. It's more or less like I'll stick a temporary password in there or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, for me with like some work related stuff, I'll like to use the notes just in case I have to, in case I end up having to like send like whatever, if I'm making like a list, if I end up having to like send it in an email or something, then it's easy to just copy and paste it. But without having to like type it from my handwritten list. So
sure.
Yeah, but I like that, 'cause that little notebook, that just totally reminded me of you and your numbered notebooks.
Yeah, it's kind of a goofy habit, I guess. I don't really know why or how I started. I think literally like I was bored at work one day. Now I remember actually. I just reminded myself that started because I was bored at work one day and I was on my third notepad and I just wrote the number 3 on front.
Okay, right on.
And then I just like kept doing it.
Yeah. Nice. What you got?
I have a bit of a harrowing story to share today.
Okay, what you got?
I call this tale the story of how I saved my cat because no veterinarian would.
Okay.
I didn't talk about this on stream at all because at the time it was really stressing me out and I didn't want to think about it. Luna got sick around Wednesday of last week. And you know, being that I'm around here all the time, I can tell really quick when she's not feeling well. I'm sure it's the same with you and Lily. Like there's certain behaviors you notice that like immediately stick out to you as like, okay, something's up.
Right.
So Luna was like sitting behind my couch, which is not a place that she usually sits. She also was like just sitting in the same spot for like a pretty good amount of time. And she didn't seem interested in like getting pet or anything. And when I put out food, she wasn't interested in it. So that was immediately like, okay, Luna's not feeling well. Because when she doesn't feel well, she'll find a weird place to like sit. She won't move at all. She won't interact with me at all. She won't eat. She won't drink, nothing. And so, you know, I knew she wasn't feeling well, but sometimes like she does get sick sometimes and usually just passes in a couple days. But obviously I try to like get her to drink water, especially because water is obviously really good for you when you're sick, but animals don't seem to know that. So I'll fill up a bowl of water and put it next to her rather than like leaving it in its usual place to like try to remind her to drink her water.
Yeah.
I check on her pretty frequently just to make sure she's doing okay. A couple days into her being sick, I was starting to get worried because again, like it doesn't usually last long. She usually bounces right back.
Yeah.
This time she was like still not doing well, still not eating. Or like we're talking like this is day 3. She's not eating at all. Day 3, I haven't seen her drink at all. I haven't seen her like groom herself. She hasn't been sleeping. Nothing. She's just been sitting. And so I'm worried at this point.
Yeah.
So I look up a vet. I look up, I try to find one that's like a walk-in vet because I don't have a general practitioner here yet because we just moved here.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is definitely on me for not getting her to a vet sooner to like get her like set up with like regular appointments, but we don't have one yet. So I just tried to find like a walk-in clinic. Yeah. And And I found one and I went to it, and it turned out they weren't a walk-in clinic. And in fact, it didn't have any appointments available until like February. So they gave me a list of a bunch of other veterinary clinics that were good in town and said I should try calling all of them. I called every single one. None of them had appointments available within like 1 to 2 days of when I was like trying to find out. They all had them like at like the end of the week.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, fuck, this is not great. And, you know, I do have to give credit. Like that first clinic that I went to, the lady who helped me was an extremely nice person. She was so sweet. She offered to like take a look at Luna just as like a quick look, like nothing in depth, just to like check how she's doing.
Right.
And so from her, like she was able to tell me that like Luna was in a stable condition, and she gave me some tips for how to help her out. So she suggested that I go to a pharmacy, pick up like an eyedropper, and like get her to drink water by like using that to get into her mouth, and then getting baby food, and same thing, using like a syringe or something to like get it in her mouth and like get her to swallow it the same way I would do with like the oral medicine.
Right.
So that's exactly what I did. I went and found some like chicken baby food. And I got like actually an earwax syringe, strangely enough, which worked really well to like get it in her mouth. And that was working pretty well. Mm-hmm. But she was keeping it down for the most part, but she would still throw it up every now and then. So I knew she was still feeling really nauseous and still not feeling well. And so finally, like, it's Saturday evening. So it's like pretty late into the fourth day of her not actively eating or feeling well at all. And I'm like, I got to just like take her to an emergency vet, because this is going on too long. I'm worried about her. I don't want anything to happen to my girl.
Right. Right.
So I go to this emergency vet. I can't actually go inside. I have to like call ahead and like check in, which I guess is like a pandemic thing.
Yeah.
And so I call them from their parking lot, and they end up telling me that they can't help her because she's not in a critical condition.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. I just told her, I was like, all right, thank you, goodbye. And I hung up the phone, and I literally like, I was sitting in the parking lot, and I put my head in my hands, and I let out like a really deep sigh. And I was like, I just want someone to make my cat feel better. Is that so much to ask?
Yeah. Oh,
so I'm like so stressed out at this point. Like Luna is not getting any better. She's not sleeping, not eating, not drinking, nothing. Those are like 3 really important things for any living thing to do.
Yeah.
And especially, and again, this is something that you can't like tell your animals and try to get them to understand. Those things are really important when you're sick. When you sleep, your body heals. Food and water, those are important for keeping you alive. But when she's not feeling well, she doesn't want to do any of those things, and she doesn't seem to understand that you need to do those things, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like at the end of my rope here, trying to come up with anything. Like I call one of the vets I had called before who had an appointment at the end of the week, and I was like, can I just set up an appointment for the end of the week? I can't get anyone to look at her. I just like the soonest you can possibly see her. Let's get that set up. All right. And so like I've got that appointment set up. That's at the end of this week. And Sunday morning, I'm like looking at Luna, and I'm thinking to myself, like, so she's nauseous. I know that. That's why she's not eating. She's nauseous.
Yeah.
She's thrown up a couple times. Her stomach isn't feeling well. And I was sitting there, and I went over to the fridge to like get a drink, and like I saw the ginger ale in my fridge, and I was like, I know ginger ale is great when like a human's not feeling well, but obviously you can't give it to a cat.
Right.
It's a soda. You can't do that.
Right.
But I was like, what about ginger itself?
Yeah.
So I did some research, and it turns out, ginger is fine for cats and has the same effect of like helping with nausea. Mm-hmm. So I like galaxy brain this shit and come up with a plan. I go to the grocery store, I pick up some ginger root, bring it home. I boil some water, I grate some ginger, and then I steep the ginger in the water for about 10 minutes. And then I strain back out the ginger. I taste test it to make sure that it's like not too strong. And then I fill the syringe with the ginger water, and I have her drink that instead of just plain water.
Yeah.
And a few hours later, she fell asleep.
Look at you.
And I wanted to like get up and start cheering, but obviously I didn't want to wake her up. I was like, she has to be feeling better. She went to sleep.
Yeah.
And there was part of me that was still a little worried. So like I kept checking on her to make sure she was still breathing, but like I wasn't disturbing her. I was just letting her sleep, and she slept for a little while, and then she got up and she started grooming herself. And I was like, yes, she hasn't groomed herself in days. She's cleaning her paws. She's like licking her tummy, like all of that stuff.
Look at you, Captain Mac, animal doctor.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I went out here and I was like, man, fuck normal medicine. I'm gonna go with that homeopathic shit.
Nice.
And so Monday afternoon, she is I'm petting her and she starts purring. And again, like because of how she's been feeling, she hasn't been purring. And so like that's when I knew like she was definitely much better. She was purring, she's grooming herself, she's sleeping, and I put some food out and she ate it. And I was like, I felt so good. I was like, yes, she's feeling better.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, obviously, ginger itself is not a medicine, but I think like the ginger allowed her stomach to stop bothering her enough to like help her get those 3 necessities: sleep, food, water. You know?
Yeah. No, that's such a good idea.
I'm really proud of myself for figuring that one out, and like to quell anyone else's worries. Like, obviously, I'm still gonna take her to the vet. I'm still going to get her on like a regular veterinary schedule. I'm going to have them check her to make sure she doesn't have, she's like fully rid of whatever was bothering her, and all that stuff. But she's still not back up to 100%. I can tell, but she's like so close, and she's definitely feeling so much better. And I'm so happy. It's like a weight off my mind.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was like a really stressful few days, and like I was so worried and so concerned, and like it sucked ass. My weekend fucking blowed or my weekend blew.
Yeah,
because it was such a shit fest, me trying to get anybody to look at my sick cat.
Yeah,
but she's on the upswing now, and I feel really good about that.
Nice, that's awesome. So my weekend, well, at least my Sunday was kind of uneventful, but since you told a Luna story, I guess this is somewhat related. I went out on Saturday and did my Christmas shopping. Only needed a couple things, and I had to do some shopping for myself. Which, by the way, people drive like freaking idiots when it's Christmas shopping season. Like,
it's true.
Like those, like the parking lots with the angled spots where they're like one way and people are going like just any direction they feel like.
Oh, it's so annoying.
And then give you a dirty look like you're in their way. Ugh.
Oh, I hate that shit. That shit makes me so mad. There's fucking arrows on the ground.
Right. Yes, exactly. Ugh. Okay, that wasn't the point of my story, but that ended up happening to me like 3 times while I was out shopping this weekend. So that was super annoying. But I needed to stop, and I needed a new pair of shoes. So I stop at DSW, and that's a pretty solid place for shoes. I like it. Usually you can get it.
Yeah, they got those good discounts.
Yeah, they do. So I'm in line, and there actually weren't that many people in there. I was kind of surprised. Maybe it's just because, like, I don't know, giving shoes as a gift isn't like a major thing, but there were only like a couple people in there, and there was just one guy ahead of me in line. But it was like taking forever because he made like multiple transactions. And I was just like, oh my God, I just want to get out of here.
That's like super annoying as a cashier.
Yeah.
Like I get it, folks out there. Sometimes you might feel like it's necessary, but try your best to never do that. It's really annoying.
Yeah, it really is. And so I'm kind of getting annoyed because like I just wanted to get in and out of there. And the shoes I bought were the same shoes that I had, just in a different color. So I didn't even need to like try them on. I just like went in, grabbed the size, and went right to the register. I was like, I'm going to be in and out of here in like 4 minutes. But I'm stuck there like waiting there, and they've got their queue line. And you know, like you would expect, it's mostly like shoe/foot related things, like deodorize.
Your favorite stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, they did have socks there. So I mean, you know, I do love myself some good socks. But yeah, it's like socks, deodorizer, you know, waterproofing spray, all that kind of good stuff. And I'm looking and I'm like, what is that for? They had a section of dog toys.
Is it so that you can stop them from eating your shoes?
I don't know, but I walked like I needed to get Lily a Christmas present, so it actually ended up working out fine. Even though I was at the pet store getting food. That was actually the stop right before DSW, and I forgot to get her a present while I was there. So it was cool that they had them, and I got her this like it's like an avocado. It's pretty cool. But I like walk up to the cashier and like set down my box of shoes and dog toy, and I was like, dog toys, huh? That's super random. And this is the exact conversation between the two of us. Dog toys, that's super random. Yeah, it's weird. I don't get it. And then I go, yeah, but whatever, I guess. And he's like, that's how we get you. And I go, apparently, I guess it's working because I came in for shoes and I'm leaving with a fucking dog toy. And both of us just start cracking up, and that was the situation. He was like a cool young guy, so I felt okay dropping an F-bomb around him.
That's good. It's wholesome.
Yeah. You know, typically that's not my go-to around people I don't know, but he was pretty cool. And I got my dog toy, and that was the end of it. But I thought that was real weird that they have dog toys there.
Little bit. I think it has something to do with my thought. Like it's straight up like, oh, dog keeps eating your shoes, take a dog toy.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really good idea. I'm glad you said that. That kind of even if that's not the reason, at least I'll convince myself that that's why.
Sure, works for me.
I at least haven't an answer, even if it's not the correct answer. So I like that. That's cool. Good
nice.
Good on you, Mac.
I'm out here with my big smart brain, saving cats and cracking retail tactics.
Right. Huh. I love it. That I would not have thought about that. Oh God, I forgot. I've got a goofy story I got to bring up. It didn't happen to me, and this was, oh God, when was this? Would have been, let's see. God, it's been like 3 weeks. We were my buddy Tim. He had listened to the podcast, and he had thought of something that he wanted to bring up, and he was working at some job, and he needed to like empty the outdoor trash cans, like that really annoying one we had in front of World Market that was just full all the time.
Oh yeah.
And he was like a younger guy at the time, so he's trying to cut corners. So he goes up to the trash can and he said there was like a giant like Reebok shoebox that someone shoved in there. And he's like, well, instead of changing it, I'm just going to take the shoebox out because that'll make more room and I won't have to change it. Well, he pulls it out and he's like, this box is really heavy. Like there can't be shoes in it. So he opens it up. He said it was full of lesbian porn and a big pink dildo. Oh, I thought that was fucking great.
I thought you were about to like explain the plot of Holes.
No.
Like he found a pair of shoes that was signed by Michael Jordan, and then he got arrested because they thought he stole it, and they sent him to Camp Green Lake.
Right? No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Nah, just lesbian porn and a dildo. The average thing to find, really.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty normal. But I thought that was funny on a bunch of different levels, like what he found and the fact that he only found it because he was being a lazy piece of shit.
I want to know like the backstory behind how it ended up there, because it sounds like a fight must have happened, right?
Yeah,
it sounds like some significant other threw away their significant other's like collection out of anger or out of response to a fight or something.
His hypothesis,
or someone was hiding it or something.
Yeah, his hypothesis was that someone's mom found their porn collection and got pissed and threw it away. But yeah, you never know. It could have been a fight.
Man, yeah, so many possibilities.
I know. And it's really funny that they would throw it away in like the garbage can at a strip mall.
Yeah.
Like
they didn't want to throw it away at home. They didn't want their neighbors seeing.
I guess not. Jeez. I wonder if there was any hentai in there.
Maybe some Yuri.
Right. That's the lesbian stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That's funny. Apparently it all comes back to hentai.
It always does.
God, you know what? I'm really pissed right now. Mike posed another question for me to ask you. He was like, "Oh, ask Mac his opinion on whatever it was," and now I can't remember because we almost exclusively communicate on Snapchat. And it's been over 24 hours, and so it disappeared, and now I can't remember what it is.
Did Mike listen to the new episode yet? Did he have anything to say about it?
Well, yeah, he started out with saying like, "Oh, yeah, you need to make sure to ask Mac about whatever he wanted me to ask you about." But yeah, no, he listened to it yesterday when it came out, and he liked how in depth you got.
I'm a professor at a university. I primarily teach veterinary classes, but I also teach classes about the history of hentai.
Oh God, that's so fucking goofy. Like I told you yesterday, because I listened to it when it came out, and it was a lot less cringy listening to it than when I was involved in it. And I think probably just because like in the moment I didn't know how long it was going to go on for or what you were going to talk about. Listening to it over again, I knew how long it was going to last and exactly what you talked about. So I found it less awkward listening to it than participating in that conversation.
I was worried that like listening back on it, it was going to be super awkward because of how one-sided the conversation felt, but it ended up being all right. You talked enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I said a few things, so, you know, it's whatever. So this is the last episode that's going to, or no, this is going to come out after Christmas, but
yeah, we didn't think about that last episode, but
no,
Merry Christmas to those who celebrate.
Yeah, but it's coming out. This is the last episode that comes out before your 24-hour live stream.
It is. I was going to bring that up at some point, but I also was on track to forget. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. I figured, you know, you'd want to plug that again in case, you know, for anyone who's missed the last couple episodes when you've brought it up.
Yeah, remind everybody, twitch.tv/CaptainMac_ 24-hour live stream. Stop by, watch some shit live. Michael be in the chat at some point, probably. He usually sticks around quite a bit, but isn't an active chatter, so that's no problem. But
yeah,
if he has any questions, if you have any questions for him in the middle of the live stream, I can always shout and he'll probably hear me.
Yeah. And you know, obviously I'm not a gamer, but I've talked about how much fun it is when you've done Jackbox, and that's kind of cool because that actually allows me to like interact with you and not just sit there and watch you play a video game that I have no idea what's going on. So I like that that aspect of it. So maybe I can maybe I'll get to interact with some of our listeners too.
Yeah, guys, stop on by. If you're into video games, even if you're not into video games, hold the gun to your head. Watch it, damn it.
Yeah.
Speaking of holding guns to people's heads, and this isn't like super related, but kind of related. YouTube has been like really aggressive about censorship lately.
Really?
Yes, I discovered. I thought I was kind of like starting to notice this when the video came out because you know the people who usually watch my live streams were talking about how I hadn't responded to their comments. So like a Scorpion in particular kept giving me shit for not responding to his comment. And I had responded to his comment twice already. And so I responded again a third time on stream so he would see that I responded to it. And Scorpion's comment, let me see if I can find it here, said, "Great video, get a bigger nightstand though." And if you've seen the video, you'll know what he's referring to.
Yeah.
But I kept replying to that comment saying, "I'm going to hit you with my car."
Okay.
And it keeps deleting that comment because I think YouTube thinks it's too mean.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And someone left a comment on a super old video of mine. They left a comment on one of my old daily gameplay videos. That's how old this video is that we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
And they said, "You suck at this." And I replied, "D's nuts." And YouTube deleted it.
Oh my gosh. You know, I think that actually might have happened to one of the podcast videos. I don't know if it was the last one or if it was like a couple weeks ago. I don't remember. But I remember looking and seeing like, "Oh, hey, our video has a comment." And then I tried to look at it and it was just not there. It just didn't exist.
It's like being like, YouTube has always been pretty aggressive about censoring comments. Like they'll censor like pretty foul language and especially slurs and stuff, which is fine. I get that. But like mildly rude comments that could easily be construed as a joke, like really?
Yeah.
We're censoring that now?
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
But yeah. I'm like annoyed about it too, because like again, like Microwave, for example, she said she left a comment on my video, and I don't remember what she said in particular, but it was something like, oh, it was like a nicer comment with like a jokingly like mean thing at the end, and that got deleted. So I never saw it. I don't know what comment she left.
Huh.
It's absurd. It's like, come on. It's YouTube, I know you can't take a joke, but I can, so just leave it.
Right. Huh. I heard an interesting theory recently, and I wanted to bring this up, and I guess I'll bring it up now because we have enough time to cover it. It's not going to be super lengthy, I don't think, but it's a really interesting idea. I don't know a ton about cats, so the same kind of thing might apply. But I heard it used for dogs. But I would assume cats have a pretty good sense of smell, like a dog does.
They do.
So, they say that like dogs don't really have like a sense of time. Like, obviously they if you leave them alone too long and they have to go to the bathroom or whatever, like they probably don't enjoy that. But, they don't really know other than that if you've been gone like an hour or like 5 hours. But the idea is that dogs can actually tell time by like their sense of smell. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, like this is usually like more of a thing in the summer, but nighttime smells different from daytime.
It do be like that.
And like if we are aware of that and our sniffers are kind of shitty in comparison to a dog, the idea is maybe dogs' sense of smell is so like sensitive that like they can smell all the different times of the day.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I thought that's a really cool concept. Whether it's real or not, can dogs smell time? It's cool. I thought that was a really neat idea.
I can see it. That makes sense.
Yeah, so maybe your little girl Luna can smell time.
Can she smell how stinky she is?
Probably.
That's a stank ass pussy.
Oh God. Yeah, well, especially if she wasn't like grooming herself for a couple days.
It's funny too, because like she was not into the baby food. Like she did not want to eat it, so a lot of it would like leak out of her mouth, and it was like a bright orange color, so her white fur under her chin was like all orange.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring this up when you were talking about how you had to play Captain Mac Animal Doctor, but I know at least for dogs, if they have like an upset stomach or their shit ain't right, if you give them like canned pureed pumpkin, that like works miracles.
Really, I did not know that.
Yeah, so like if they got a case of the diarrhea and they're not like you and they don't enjoy it, yeah, you give them like a couple spoonfuls of pumpkin, and I mean usually like the next time they go to the bathroom it's like a pure orange turd, which is hilarious. But yeah, it
just like Tim's orange snake.
Right. Yeah, it just comes out like an orange snake. Fucking Tim. And if they're got a little bit of the constipation, you give it to them and it like helps stuff get flowing. But Lily loves to like she will like scarf it down. She loves herself pumpkin, and she's all white, so she always gets what I refer to as pumpkin nose, because like the top of her nose is just all orange.
Aww.
But yeah, once I learned about that and tried it out and it started working, I started kind of playing home dog doctor, because yeah, that is way better than an expensive vet visit.
For sure.
You know, I mean, obviously within reason. If it doesn't work in like a day or two, then you got to go to the vet. But
yeah, that's how I treat Luna. Like, you know, some people might question why I didn't immediately try to get Luna to a vet, and it's because it's not the first time she's just gotten sick at home. She usually gets over it really quick, so it's not worth the vet visit.
Yeah.
You know, cats get colds too. It's a thing.
Yeah, animals get sick.
A cold is not deadly to a cat any more than a cold is deadly to a human. As long as it's not like a prolonged thing, it's not anything to worry about.
Yeah. I don't.
But when it gets prolonged, that's when Max starts looking for vets who apparently don't want to take care of my cat.
Yeah, that sucks. And you don't want to. I mean, you really don't want to have to go to one of those like emergency animal hospitals because they're
so expensive.
Yeah. You don't want that. Ugh. Yeah,
I still can't believe they turned me away because she wasn't in critical condition. Like I'm sure it was like because they were busy kind of thing, but I was seriously like, God damn it, someone just fix my cat.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad that all worked out and you got her all taken care of.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Cause she's a little dummy, but that's your baby.
She's my girl. I would be broken if I lost her. She's so important to me right now.
Yeah. Have you like taken her out for a walk or anything?
Nah, pretty sure she's not into that shit.
Well, because didn't you got her like a leash and a harness, didn't you?
Yeah, I talked about this in the video, so you wouldn't have heard about it. But I don't think Luna likes going outside. I think she's kind of afraid of the outside.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. I mean, the vast majority of her life is spent inside your apartment, so I get it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what's up with it. My theory is that it has something to do with like before I even got her, because from what I know about when she was like a stray, the whole situation was weird. The people who like brought her to the Humane Society had been like taking care of her for like 6 months, and they already had another cat, so they like didn't let her stay inside, and it was like winter. So she had to like live out in their garage, even though they like didn't consider her their cat. So I don't know. Maybe something about that situation instilled into her a fear of like being outside because she was just stuck in a cold garage for an entire winter.
Yeah.
But like when I open a door, she'll stare outside, but she does not go outside. And when I was on the road trip, like, you know, I got a harness and a leash, and I tied the leash to one of the handles in my car so she'd have full mobility in the car, but she couldn't escape. But even then, like if we opened the door, she'd just stare outside. She didn't show any interest in leaving. She never tried to get out.
Huh.
So I don't think she's into the outside. I think she likes to stay where she knows what's going on.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Which makes her the perfect cat for me.
Yeah. So we won't be able to do this until we record the next episode. But a little tease for our audience. I am sending Mac a Christmas present, and he's going to do a live unbox on the podcast. But it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be there tomorrow. So,
okay.
But I don't know. It also says that it's like the last update is that it's in Maine. So I don't know how it's getting from Maine to Oregon.
How the fuck did it go from Michigan to Maine and now it's supposed to head to Oregon? What the fuck?
Well, okay. So it originated in Maine.
Oh, I see. I see. You didn't have it at your place.
No, I didn't physically buy it. I bought it online and just had it shipped direct to you. But yeah, I don't super think it's gonna get there tomorrow, but you know, that's fine. As long as it gets there by next Tuesday, we're good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So that could be fun.
Well, we'll see you then, folks. Until then, I don't know. Do whatever you do until the next episode comes out. I assume that most of our listeners don't have anything to do outside of the podcast. So they usually just like enter cryo sleep until the next episode comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's really all they do. And the only thing they listen to, I'm sure.
Right. I can't imagine they have anything else in their life that would be worth doing. Once you discover the podcast, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, is life worth living if I'm not listening to the podcast?
Right. Oh, our boy Andre, he took a trip to Brazil and he listened to at least an episode there because we ended up with a Brazilian listen. And I asked him about it, and he did confirm that was him in Brazil.
A Brazilian listen sounds like something you'd look up on Urban Dictionary.
Oh my God. I wonder if that's a real thing. I swear everything is on Urban Dictionary.
I'm going to find out right now. Let's see what I can find.
Yeah, do it. That's so fucking funny.
Brazilian listen. Nothing.
Oh, damn. I remember one time at World Market, remember how Carissa would buy us like ice cream randomly on weekends?
Mm-hmm.
There was one time she bought us all these popsicles, and there's a brand of popsicle they're called like Philly Swirl. And I was like, that sounds like something that's on Urban Dictionary, and sure as shit it is. I thought that was real goofy.
I did just scrolling through Urban Dictionary find a pretty funny one. It's a Minnesota goodbye.
Okay.
The act applying to most Minnesotans while visiting others in which one person has to leave. They proceed to talk for another hour. Then the departing party is walked to the front door where they talk for another hour. Then the departing party gets walked to their car while the host family talks to them through the car window for an hour. And finally, the departing couple slowly departs from the drive, yelling back and forth with the host family. And I think we all have someone like that in our family.
Yeah. So I haven't heard of that as a Minnesota goodbye. I've heard it as just a Midwest goodbye.
I think that's more Midwest goodbye. I think that's more appropriate.
Yeah. That is like my entire family, including myself. I'm kind of bad about that, but
I am not like that. I'm like, let's get the fuck out of here. Maybe that'll change that I'm across the country from my family, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. I'm not sticking around.
Yeah. Yeah, I've even pulled that like in a phone call where the phone call just ends up lingering longer than it needs to.
We're kind of doing that right now. I was trying to end the episode like 4 minutes ago.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's fine.
We just had a Midwest podcast, so
yeah,
that's how it works.
See you later, losers.
Yep.